Good day all, and welcome to part 12 of my Doctor Who Complete DVD series overview. So today we are looking at the latter episodes of the Jon Pertwee years. So to start off, Frontier in Space. Its follow-up story, Planet of the Daleks, are almost like a sort of a continuation or kind of a arc going through. They actually came together in the Dalek War box set. Anyway, so we had the Frontier in Space to begin with. So this was actually Roger Delgado's final appearance as the Master in Doctor Who. Unfortunately, only 3 months after this story had been broadcast, he was killed in a car accident in Turkey, I believe, while shooting a movie up there. So yeah, this is kind of definitely a sad outcome to the first Master, and it's actually a little from the story point of view, what they had actually originally intended on doing was having the Master and Jon Pertwee's Doctor fight to the death during Pertwee's last episode, and then that would lead to his regeneration, which was kind of the arc that they were building up towards, but unfortunately that never happened. And this ended up being the final appearance of the Master. So just take a look right here. This is... And there we got Pertwee with his space helmet. And this particular story is kind of a love it or hate it, I find. Well, not really hate it, but love it or kind of indifferent amongst Doctor Who fans. I've actually always considered sort of the two-part story of these two, interesting, fun to watch. That which happens immediately afterwards is Planet of the Daleks. This didn't really have the impact of Day of the Daleks, mainly because that was meant to be a return of the Daleks to Doctor Who. But in this one, the portrayal of the Daleks is actually a lot better than it was in Day of the Daleks. They're kind of getting back in form to what they were like during the original. In the 1960s, mainly in the Hartnell, and then briefly into the Troughton years. But here we have Planet of the Daleks. There we go. And between these two stories, there's actually probably one of the more interesting or original documentary series, which is essentially, it's like a documentary from the future, looking back at the past, or how science fiction was viewed and whatnot in the 1970s. So that one itself, I don't know, I think it's it's nice to see them trying to do something a little bit different, or trying to spice it up rather than doing the same documentary for each episode. Planet of the Daleks. And then this is then we're into the Green Death. This was the last episode to feature Joe Grant. And this one, I guess, is kind of timely in 1974. This was when damage to the environment was starting to gain widespread attention. And this kind of builds on that. And so here we've got, this is the one with the, scary looking green worms, which actually I will admit, when I was younger, they look a lot scarier than they did seeing them when I was older. This is also the one with the evil supercomputer, which actually reappears in sort of a little drama that they do in the special features, or kind of like a catch-up tale, what happened to everyone that was in the story. Of course, here we've got the villain, which is Global Chemicals, sort of your stereotypical evil, all polluting, all destroying corporation. So in terms of timely, this is actually, almost a primary document of how the perceived environmental crisis, well, obviously it is an environmental crisis, but what was a perceived crisis at the time was actually portrayed in media or in drama in the 1970s. And this is also kind of stuck out as one of those more endearing Doctor Who stories. It also has probably one of the saddest endings of anyone of any of the episodes after Joe leaves the doctor. He's driving off in his in Betsy, his little car, and yeah, it's just, yeah, just sad ending. But anyway, so that's the Green Death, and then we're here with the Time Warrior, the beginning of Pertwee's final season, and with the Time Warrior, you can really see sort of stylistically what would later become the norm during the Tom Baker era develop, both in terms of story, really in terms of shooting and everything like that. This is also the first story that featured the time tunnel. So for those of you who think, it premiered with Tom Baker, well, no, actually the time tunnel first appeared with Jon Pertwee in his final season. And during the season he had decided to bow out, although by this point he had done 5 seasons, and that had made him to date the longest running Doctor, 5 seasons, and he's still the second longest running out of the 11 that have already played the role, beat only by Tom Baker, who followed him with a total of 7 seasons. But anyway, so here we have the Time Warrior. So this also introduces Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane. And this story was written by Robert Holmes, who would later become script editor during Tom Baker's first 3 series, and along with Philip Hinchcliffe. So that's where you can really see where stylistically the show was building up to what it would eventually become. Now this is sadly one of the high points in Pertwee's last season. It was, which you'll see this in the next video, but it was kind of marred. It was by far his weakest season out of the 4. It still had some bright moments, but it just didn't really, for the most part, have the magic that you had in his first 2 or 3 seasons. So you can see that kind of changing a little bit. But what can you say? He still left while he was on top, and we'll cover that in the next video. So as always, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.